St. Paul's Ask an Expert series is a free educational program featuring knowledgeable presenters from our community discussing meaningful topics of interest for older adults and their families.
Hello, I'm Dawn Hartman, the Director of Planned and Major Giving for St. Paul's Senior Living Community in Greenville, PA. Welcome to this edition of Ask an Expert. Our featured community expert joining us today is Cindy Legwaila. Cindy is a board-certified music therapist, works with clients and their family members across northwestern Pennsylvania. Prior to the pandemic, Cindy was coming here to St. Paul's to provide music therapy for our residents once a week. Now she's doing that virtually with one-on-one sessions with different residents that really benefit from music therapy. So welcome, Cindy. Thank you for joining us today.
Happy to be here.
How are you doing?
We're hanging in there, aren't we all? Just hanging in there right now.
It's so nice to actually see your face in
person. I was so excited to come on campus today. I was like, oh, it's been over a year since I've been here, so just nice to be on campus.
So today we're going to talk, of course, about music therapy, particularly the benefits of music therapy for older adults. And Cindy's even going to share some tips if you're a caregiver for an older adult, ways that you can use music to help your elderly loved ones. So let's get to it. Why don't we start out by talking about the easy question. What is music therapy?
Sure. So music therapy by definition is the clinical and evidence-based use of music by a board-certified music therapist to accomplish individualized goals. So that's really it in a nutshell, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty in a minute.
So what are some of the benefits of music therapy, particularly for the elderly?
Yeah. So the neat thing about music therapy is that, most people love music and it's a really powerful thing. So it's non-threatening and you can have really unique outcomes because of that. So it can be effective for even those that may not be working well with other therapies or who are resistive to other treatment methods because it's something that we're familiar with and we like. It is a form of sensory stimulation, and so it is going to provoke responses because it's something that's familiar, because music in itself is predictable in its rhythm and nature, and because it provides us with some feelings of security. Music also is processed in many parts of our brain, so when things aren't going right in one part of our brain, music, it can actually help us to make those connections to that part of the brain that isn't working and create those neural connections so that we can speak or walk or do things that we haven't been able to because that area of our brain's been affected. So that's really cool. And research has actually shown this effectiveness for facilitating movement, increasing motivation to engage in treatment in general. So sometimes it'll be paired with a different therapy just to increase that motivation, and providing an emotional support and outlet for both clients and family members, and just allowing expression of feelings in general.
So it sounds like this is something that would be really helpful for anyone that has memory issues. So do you want to talk a little bit about the people that can best benefit from music therapy?
So my favorite population to work with is those with dementia and Alzheimer's because, there are people that can remember the words of songs when they can't remember their own name. So that's something that it was like, oh, okay, I finally remember something. Some other people that benefit are those that have been affected by a stroke or a brain injury or something that has affected part of their brain. Talking more about the rhythm for music that will help to get them back to get their words connected with the music, or their gait connected to the music, such as in Parkinson's. Lately, while I've been doing individual sessions, it's been a lot with people that have been isolated in their rooms. At St. Paul's, a lot of people have been in their rooms alone a lot. So just working with people that are socially isolated can bring them some joy and get them out of some depression that they may be experiencing in this time, especially. Anxiety, people that have anxiety, this is also something to remove their brain away from something that they're anxious about. And then it can also be really beneficial for people that have pain, again, as a distraction method away from their pain.
A lot of people probably aren't familiar with how music therapy works, but a lot of people have had physical therapy or occupational therapy, and they know that there's goals. Like a plan of care for what that therapy is going to accomplish. What kind of goals do you have with music therapy?
Yeah. So, I mean, the neat thing, like I said, is we can work across, all different kinds of goals. So physical goals, emotional goals, So generally, like, the goal is to promote physical and mental wellness, if you want to, just put it on a big, broad scale. Right now, providing a space for connecting with loved ones or other seniors within a community. I think especially now as we start to get back into being in community again, where we've been apart for so long, music is going to be a really great way to get back together and form those relationships that we've been sort of apart from for a while. Obviously, I said just to encourage and facilitate movement in general, whether you've been affected by something major like Parkinson's or a stroke, or you're just trying to keep yourself healthy and well and moving along, just to have that motivation. To improve communication, both verbally and non-verbally. I don't know if you all remember when Gabby Gifford had her brain injury, and it was actually she wasn't able to speak, but it was actually music therapy that got her to start singing initially and then back to singing again. So she was able to train her brain how to speak again. Of course, enhancing memory, and that can be something like actually learning the steps of how to care for yourself in a song, or something as easy as, okay, this song reminds me of this moment in my life. Alleviating mood, of course. When we think music, we think, oh yes, music makes me feel better. So that's of course a goal. Like I said, alleviating pain, decreasing any stress or anxiety. And then one thing that I think is really important, especially for seniors as they start to lose control of the things they're used to, is to provide that sense of control for them. They can make decisions about how the music is going to sound, or what songs they're going to hear, or just how they're going to participate in music therapy, and in that itself to help promote self-worth in general, which is really important as we age, to remember we are still worth something.
Now, I've had the awesome privilege of watching you in action doing music therapy, but for someone that has never seen this or never heard this, what does a music therapy session look like?
So it's completely different for every person. When a music therapist comes in, they, assess an individual for their specific strengths and their needs, as well as their music preferences and their past music experiences, and then come up with a treatment plan based on all of those things put together. So it can include singing favorite songs. It can include dancing to songs that they used to love to dance to, or learning new dances. I love to teach new dances. Just exercising in general to music, gait training to music. So if you see a music therapist along with a physical therapist, they'll probably be working on walking to the actual beat of the music in more neurological music therapy sessions. Sometimes it's just listening to familiar songs and reminiscing about either the times that they remember that song in their life, or topics associated with those songs. I have one woman right now that she very specifically remembers her childhood. And that is really all she remembers. So we spend a lot of time using music around that specific time of her life that she remembers going to church, and all the really old songs. And also we songwrite a lot together as well to affirm all of those things that she does remember, and we've been putting them into songs to share with her family, and just, you know, show again that self-worth, that she does have something to continue to give and be able to make and grow. I've been doing a lot of songwriting as well to help residents here at St. Paul's to process the things that they're going through, being alone and isolated away from people and not being able to do the things that they want. So we've been connecting like favorite songs that they have, and then rewriting the words to be more based upon their life and how they're feeling at the moment. When we're talking about pain, sometimes we use music as a relaxation technique. So breathing to the music, to the beat of the music, or moving to the beat of the music in a slow fashion, focusing specifically on the music instead of the pain. And one of my favorite things is working with people that used to be musicians in their life at some point, and helping to sort of reawaken that passion that they once had. I'm working right now with a woman that used to be a choral director, and she has now lost her sight and is knowing that she's losing her memory. And she says during the sessions, at least I still have music, you know, at least I still remember the songs, and she still has a fabulous voice. And you can just see her like closing her eyes and singing. We sing a lot of hymns, so just singing to the Lord, and you know, being able to be in that moment of praise for what she still has. And then the last thing that some music therapists do, especially if they're working in hospice situations, is doing a legacy project, where the resident may write a song to their family member or compile songs that remind them of different family members and leave that as a memento to them once they pass away. So,
oh, that's so neat.
Yeah.
That's really meaningful.
Yeah.
For the caregiver that's at home with their loved one right now, what are some things that they could do to use music in some of the ways that you're talking about to help their loved one?
Yeah, absolutely. So I teach this to parents that have kids, as well as caregivers that are taking care of their moms or their husbands or wives at home. Anytime you can make music part of your daily life, you know, when you're getting dressed, when you're bathing, when you're walking from the living room to the kitchen, which seems so long when you have, you know, trouble walking or whatever. In those moments that are the hardest is when you should definitely be using music to, again, distract from the things that are hard. If you can both get singing helps to relieve some of that stress that you may be feeling in those moments. So it's good for both the caregiver and the person that you're caring for. And yeah, so that's my biggest thing is just use music in the tough times. Our bodies naturally want to entrain to a beat. So like I mentioned, using music in music therapy with Parkinson's, I remember when my grandfather was pretty far in his Parkinson's journey, and he would have trouble getting out of the chair and getting to the bathroom fast enough, you know? So we would do like When the Saints Go Marching In, or some sort of like marching song to get his body moving just to get to the bathroom on time. And then if he ended up not making it, at least like we were in a fun moment, and it was, you know, the accident didn't seem as big because we were just in a moment of having fun. For those that have people that tend to sundown or get anxious later in the day, I always suggest trying to play music about a half hour before that time starts, so they can begin focusing on the music instead of the things that they think that they need to do like going to get their kids or, you know, ending their job or whatever it is, those things that they think that they need to do. Just again, so their brain is focused on something besides for whatever normally agitates them.
Mm-hmm.
And then last of all, just being in music together, you know, putting on a favorite song that means something to the both of you, just sitting there, holding their hand, listening to songs together so that the two of you can maintain and or create bonds, whether you're a caregiver from outside creating a bond with somebody new or someone, you know, a longtime loved one that you need to maintain that bond during this time that may be a little bit more frustrating. So just remaining together in the music.
I love it.
Yeah.
So where can someone get connected with a music therapist if they want to give that a try?
Sure. So, right now, a lot of people, like I said, are doing virtual sessions. So the awesome thing about right now is that you can probably get connected with a music therapist anywhere in the United States and be able to do it all virtually as long as you have a laptop or a computer to be able to connect with them. We're going to give some information at the very end of where you can find a music therapist. There is our certification board of music therapists that lists specifically by location where you can find a music therapist if you type in the zip code. So we'll give that information. And then other places that you might find throughout the community, senior centers or community groups that may have a music therapist that comes in every once in a while. Hospitals will sometimes have a music therapist on staff. If you are at a facility like St. Paul's, you might just want to ask the recreation person if there is a music therapist on staff. And if they don't have a music therapist on staff, most likely they will be able to direct you to a music therapist in the area. I can tell you right now, I might be the only music therapist that's serving Crawford County in the senior community. There are a few more of us that service the Erie area, but definitely your recreation therapy person would be a best bet if you're actually in a facility. And then if you are participating in hospice at all, most likely you will also have a music therapist that you can get connected to through that. And then just if you want some more music therapy or more information about music therapy in general, you can go to the American Music Therapy Association website, and there's a bunch of information about the research that's been done on music therapy. There's a specific section about music therapy working with dementia and Alzheimer's. So we'll provide all that information as well. Mm-hmm. As far as how to get linked to that.
And of course, you can always come to St. Paul's and you will have Cindy as your musical therapist.
Yes.
So I just thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this innovative topic that really does make a big difference in the lives of older adults. I've seen it. I get excited every time I watch a music therapy session because it does do amazing things. So thank you so much. If you have any questions for Cindy or you'd like more information about music therapy, we're going to share her contact information on the screen, as well as the websites that she mentioned that you can get more information from. So check those out. We hope you enjoyed today's virtual edition of Ask an Expert from St. Paul's Senior Living Community.